In a previous video, I showed you how to make this AMS Lite dry box. Since then, I've had quite a few suggestions to flip it upside down so that the lid was on the bottom. So after thinking about that, I came up with this new design, which I hope you'll really like. To download the STL files and parts list for the upside down dry box, scan this QR code or go to this URL. We started our project using this Easy Storage IP67 waterproof storage box. This is the 50-liter size. You can buy this at either Home Depot or Target. As you can see, I've got the lid, so we're going to start by mounting this plate to the lid. All of the plastic pieces that need to be printed, the STL files are available on the website, and you can get to the website through the barcode at the beginning of this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by drilling a hole. This is a 1/8 inch drill bit. I'm going to drill out one of these corner holes. I'm then going to take an M3 by 14 millimeter screw that corner into place, use that as an anchor to reposition and square this plate up with the rest of the lid, and then I'll drill the holes for the rest of the screws and put them in. So let's see how that comes out. Okay, that came out very nicely. So now you see there's 2 holes here and 2 holes there. Those are going to be for the bowden tubes. So we have to drill out the holes in the lid. For that, I'm going to use a 5/32 drill bit. So let me drill that out now. And now that that's done, the last thing we need to do is to drill out a hole for the AMS Lite communications cable. We're going to put that hole right over here where you see this little red dot is. If you've noticed it, there's this little square piece here. I didn't center it in the square. I've moved it as close to the stand as possible so that it lines up well with the AMS unit that's going to be below it. To do that, I'm using a 19 millimeter hole saw. If you don't have a hole saw, you can cut it out with an X-Acto knife, but I like using a hole saw because it certainly makes a cleaner hole. A step I almost forgot was to put this bridge on top of the pedestal. So what I'm going to do is pull these back a little so that they don't interfere. Just get those down here like this so that they don't interfere. Get them out of the way. And then I'm going to put a bead of crazy glue on top of the pedestal, put the bridge on it, and let it dry. So we've given our bridge enough time for the glue to dry on the pedestal, and now it's time to mount the AMS Lite. So we're going to take the communication cable, put it through the hole, slide the AMS Lite onto the bridge, and we'll do a couple more things. You see we got the 2 holes here, and there's 2 holes on the back, so we're going to put screws in there. We're going to be pulling the bowden tubes up and installing them. And then we're going to be taking our split nut, and the split nut just goes around the wire like this. You just take it, put it around the wire, and slide it through the hole. And then, of course, the nut comes up through the bottom. So we're going to be doing those steps, and let's see how that comes out. I realized after making this video that some of the bowden tubes were binding, so I've changed the routing scheme. What I use now is a front to back and left to right scheme. So slot 1 comes across and loads into the hole for slot 3. Slot 2 comes across and loads into the hole for slot 4. Slot 3 comes across and loads into the hole for slot 1. And slot 4 comes across and loads into the hole for slot 2. This is the only section of the video where I've corrected the routing. So if you watch the rest of the video, you'll see that the routing is incorrect. Thanks. Okay, so there it is. And it seems like my bowden tubes decided to crisscross over each other, and they're popped out a little, which is fine. It gives them plenty of room to make the arc. A couple other things I have to go through before we're finished. The first one is my hygrometer. So I use a hygrometer in my dry box, and you can see I glued a little 20 by 6 neodymium magnet to the front of it, and I'm going to use a second magnet on the other side of my dry box to sort of hold it in place. We'll see that. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a dry box if there weren't desiccant in it, so let's talk about that. The next piece you're going to have to print, and it's the last piece, is this plate. You'll see the plate has shapes that correspond to the motor towers on the AMS Lite. That's going to sit like this, and my tray with my desiccant is going to sit on top. For a tray, I just used a cookie sheet. This is a 9x13 cookie sheet. I happen to get this at a store called Home Goods. As you can see, it cost me $6. So that's pretty easy to do. The other thing about this plate is you've got two options for mounting the cookie sheet to it. I have holes, so you can either drill holes and use M3 by 8, 10, something like that screws to hold the cookie sheet in place, or I have slots indented in this where I glued in some magnets, and these are 40 by 13 neodymium magnets that I glued in here. And what we're going to do is, so as you can see, obviously I'm using the magnets. What we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to put this on top, get our bowden tubes out of the way, we're going to put that on top. We're going to take our tray, stick that on top, and then to hold the tray in place, I've got two more of the 40 by 13 neodymium magnets. If you just drop them, they kind of find their place, and it's in tight. Like, this is not moving anymore. That's in tight. I'm going to load a pound of desiccant in there, and we're good to go. Okay, so there you have it. We have our lid in place. We've got our hygrometer attached to our dry box, and we're just going to leave it for a while. You can see it says 41% right now. We'll leave it for a few hours, come back, and see how it's doing. I've waited about 12 hours, and as you can see, the humidity, according to the hygrometer, has dropped from about 41% to about 12%. So thanks to everyone who suggested that I flip my original design upside down. It looks like this is going to work out pretty well. So thanks again, and happy printing.